Okay, folks, so I'm going to, right, this is our class basically. And what I'm going to be doing today is going over the Excel 3 tutorial. So this guy right here. So we're going to be working on the Wingate Farm Excel document. I'm not going to be showing you um, the pages that we're working on the screen, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, or I'll tell you which page number I'm working on. And so we're going to start off here. Well, if it would actually get there. Okay, so let's go to page 130. It's a little slow. Okay, so this is the one we're going to be working on. So it's got the calculations, formulas, functions, and we're only going to need one file for this. It's the Wingate file, and this is what it's going to look like. And again, I'm not going to be showing you every one of these pages. So I'll reference the page number before I start the steps, and I'll say, okay, we're working on page EX133, and we're going to be on step whatever. So in this case, it would be EX134, step 1. And that's what I'm going to give you. That'll keep me from having to switch back and forth, and it'll allow you to kind of keep moving forward a little bit. So just make sure you've got your book with you. If you do not have a book, please let me know right away. That could create some issues for us if you do not have a book and I don't know it. If I know it, I can help you. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to get into our data files. So this is Excel 3. We're working on the module, and we're working on the Wingate file. Here it is. And I'm going to maximize this, and I'm just going to begin on step 1 or whatever that is. I'm using another computer that has all of this on it as well. Hopefully. Huh. Okay. Give me a second. This thing's kind of freaking out on me. Okay, so it looks like I can't be logged in at two places at one time. So I'm on page EX134, and step 1 is let's get our name and then the date in here. And we're going to save this as my initials, MRH, Wingate Farms. I'll save that. Great. Once I have that saved, that's page 134. I'm at the bottom of page 134 now. Go to the yield worksheet, and in step 1, in cell B4, we want to enter 137 as the total corn crop. B7, this is going to be 6. And in cell B8, we're going to enter 2.5. Cell B9, we're going to enter 294. And then remember, as I'm going through this, you can pause the recording. This is going to become a skill that's going to be pretty helpful for you. So check your work on page 135 and just make sure that you've got the values that we have listed here, just like they have in the image on page 135 in figure 3.1. So I'm going down to the bottom of page 135. Step 1, go to the explanation of formulas worksheet. And in here, this is where they're telling you all the information. You don't need to figure anything out because they give you all the um, basically all the math that you need. So for here, for example, they're giving you all of this information. Same thing is true here, here. It doesn't make any sense to you right now, but this is where they attempt to explain it. So the T minimum, the T maximum, the T base, the GDD, all these things which don't mean anything to you get explained here. And then once we go through the exercise in the book, it'll even make more sense. Okay, so let's go back to the yield worksheet. And then if you look at page 136, they're giving you a little bit more information about those formulas and about constants, variables, things like that. It's not really important for you to understand them in detail at this point, but sometimes it's exercises like this that do a much better job of helping you to understand the math. So if you're not a math whiz, this might actually be helpful. So let's just kind of walk through it. If it doesn't make a lot of sense to you right now, maybe by the time we get done with it, it'll maybe make a little bit more to you. So we want to go to cell B10. Go to cell B10, and then you want to enter the formula that they have in step 1. So we type the equal sign, the number 2 times, nope, that's not it, B7 times B8 times B9, and then divided by E7. So check that with what's in the book. 2 times B7 times B8 times B9 divided by E7. And if we hit the enter sign and we check step 1, it gives you the 0.202479339. It's giving you that information there. And then it wants you to go back to cell B10, and they want us to decrease the decimal to places to 2. So we will only want to have 2 decimal places to the right. So we're going to decrease decimals. Remember in the number up here, 1. And we'll make it 0.20. And moving right along. So on page 137, EX 137, check your work there. So you should kind of be doing this as we move forward, because if you make a mistake, typo or something like that early, it's going to wreck things later. So now let's go to cell B13. Step 1. And again, I am on page EX 137. We're going to enter 1922 as the sample weight. The moisture content is going to be 16.3, and they want this to be percentage. And then the dry weight, we're going to enter a formula here. So for B15, step 3, enter the formula equals B13 times, left parenthesis, 1 minus B14, and then a right parenthesis. So what this means is that we're going to do the 1 minus B14 first, and then we're going to multiply it by B13. And it's going to come up with 1608.714. That's in step 3. They're giving you that number, and if that doesn't work, just be sure that you adjust that. So cell B16, we're going to enter another formula. This one's going to be equals B15 divided by, left parenthesis, 1 minus E8, and then a right parenthesis. So just check that work real closely. And that should come up to 1903 and change. Okay, there it is, 1903.80355. And that's in step 4 on page 138. Now select the range B15 through B16. Okay, let me do that again. B15 through B16. And we want those to be no decimals. Okay, so we're going to decrease those decimals. Boom, boom, boom. And they're going to round to, so anything above 0.5 is going to go to the next highest number when we do that. So a little bit of rounding, and that's okay. Step 5 on page 138 is to, step 5 is basically check your work. 1609, 1904 should be those numbers. And then at the bottom of page 138, go to cell B19 equals B16 divided by E9. And that should be 33.999 or 996. Cell B19, format the number with no decimals. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that should be 34. And then cell B20, another formula, equals B19 divided by B10. And that's going to divide the number of bushels in the sample plot by the size of the plot in acres. And it gives you 167 dot change. Okay. And then on page 139, we're going to change that to no decimals again. Trying to work with the same types of numbers unless we need that level of precision. So now, cell B21, this one's going to be equals B20 times B4. And you can see those colors showing up here. So total yield is bushels per acre times the acres. And that's going to come up with some crazy number, 23002.44. And we're going to do the comma style with no decimal places. So we're going to use comma style up here. And then we're going to decrease 23002. And then the last one in this column is B23. They're giving you the formula equals B21 times E10. So the market price times the total yield. So if the price is $3.85 per bushel and you have 23,002 bushels, that's how you figure it out. So if you buy 2 candy bars at $3.85 each, you would expect that if you checked out at the cashier stand. In this case, you're going to have 23,002 items at $3.85 a piece. And that's what we're calculating right now. So if we press enter, we come up with 88,559.40459. So that's an extremely precise number, which we don't really need because we don't operate like that. Dollars and cents only. So we're going to do the accounting format this time. And you can see it automatically rounds that off because we don't have anything less than a penny in our currency. So it'll round it up to the nearest penny, 88,559.40. And that seems square. So check your work on page 139. There's an image there that you can look at. And then go to page 140. And we're going to apply cell styles there at the bottom of page 140. So step 1, select the non-adjacent range B4, B7 through B9, B13 through B14, E7 through E10. Okay, so you can do that. Remember, the way we do that is we use the control key. So if we click on cell B4, press and hold the control key down. Now select cells B7, B8, B9. Okay, keep holding down the control key. B13 and B14. Keep holding down the control key. And now E7 through E10. Okay? Now we can let go of the control key and we want to go to the cell styles. So cell styles is here. It might look different on your screen because my monitor is so narrow. So you're looking for the Home tab, Styles group, Cell Styles, and we're looking for the Input. So this is a kind of an agreed upon style for cells where the user would need to do the input. So that's step 3 on page 140. Step 4 wants you to choose the non-adjacent range, B10. So we're going to click on B10, press and hold down the control key, B15 and 16, B19 through B21, B23. Basically everything that we didn't have already. This time we're going to go back to the cell styles, and these are going to be calculations. So where's the calculation? There it is. It's in the data and model. So if you were to give this sheet, just like it is, to somebody who knew what they were doing with Excel, they'd be kind of clued into the fact that, okay, some of these things are going to happen automatically, and some of them require me to enter information. So there you have it. So we have 137 acres. The sample plot information is here. So that's what we're working with in our sample. Here's the corn weight. Here's the yield and the revenue down here. So if you don't know how much corn you have, you'd never be able to figure out the price, right? And you need to know where you're going to plant it up here. And the sample plot is simply giving us the ability to not have to go count every freaking corn stalk out there. We're going to choose just a small area and we'll let it be representative of the entire farm. Okay? It's kind of like if you want to check your dishes after they come out of the dishwasher, you probably aren't going to inspect every single one of them, but you're going to check a couple of them, the ones that you know might not get clean most easily. So anyway, it's just a sample. Okay, so that's the yield sheet. Okay, on page 141 and 142, we're talking about functions. So let's look at this. This is an example of a formula, B21 times E10. Okay? Excel gives you some formulas that are pre-built for you, like the sum function. So they're kind of like formulas, but they're pre-built. It's like going to the store and getting a calculator. It'll do a lot of stuff for you without you having to do all that math. So if you look on page 142, it gives you some examples of some of the more common functions that are pre-packaged in Excel. A really good example that I like to give people is if you have wrenches in your toolbox or screwdrivers, those are examples of functions. They might loosen or tighten a bolt, or they could do other things as well. So they're just pre-made, so you don't have to make a wrench every time you want to loosen a nut or a bolt. So moving over to page 143. So we're going to start off using the count function. So there's a couple of different versions of counting in Excel functions, so just be careful. Sometimes they count numbers, sometimes they count numbers in cells, sometimes they count cells that have just any kind of text in them. So just make sure you read the fine print. There's lots of them and you might get confused. So go to the yield history worksheet. Okay, so yield history. Click on cell B5. So this is the summary years. And we want to type equals count. Okay, so I'm not doing anything else at this point. But if I press the tab key at this point, I don't have to type that extra parenthesis. You can type the parenthesis if you want to, but you can also just press the tab key and it'll take you. Once you have the function that you're looking for, so in this particular case, all I have to do is type COU. If I press tab, it accepts it. It's also telling me which things I need to place in here. So I have to put one value, but I could put multiple values. Okay, so you got to put one, but you might be able to put multiples. So once we got this function kind of all ready to go, step two, well, yeah, we're finished with step two. We just need to count the information that's listed in column E. So we can just click that letter E, and it types E:E there for us. And then we can accept that by entering the right parenthesis. And once you press enter, it says 22. So now think about what it just counted. It actually counted the number of cells that have numbers in them. Okay, so if I do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I've got 23 cells, but it only showed up with 22 because this one doesn't have anything in it. Okay, so it's going to skip that one. It only count only counts cells that have numerals in them. Okay, and moving along, 144. Click on cell B6. This is step 1 on page 144. We want to click on cell B6. Step 2 is to type equals round, and then we're going to type another function. So we're nesting functions, and we're going to do this one as E:E and put a right parenthesis around that one. Okay. And now be careful here because we need to distinguish the fact that we have two functions that are going on here. So the average E:E with its parentheses, they're complete, okay? But in order to finish off the round function, we need to put a comma in here, as in step 4, and we're going to round these to the nearest whole number, so no decimals, so a 0, and then a right parenthesis. And now we have two functions. We have the average E:E, and then we have the round of whatever it is that number is, and we're rounding it to the nearest whole number. So if I press enter, so the average rounded is 170. So if I look at these numbers over here, some of them are there's a 102, 176, 177. There's some ones that are higher, and 170 doesn't seem too far out of whack. If you look at step 6 on page 144, it gives you that answer as well, 170. So it's an integer. So a number with no decimal, basically. So check out the picture on that page and just make sure yours is looking similar to that. And if you want to check out page 145, it gives you some other explanations on that. And if that's helpful, great. Look at that picture on page 145, figure 3.8. If it confuses you, skip it. There's at the bottom of the page, there's some categorizations of the formula or the functions. I think that's probably going to be confusing for you in the beginning, but just know that they do try to break these things down. I think if you talk to most people who use Excel, you're going to find that they probably use no more than 10 functions a lot. In all the other ones, maybe occasionally, and they probably have to go look them up when they're ready to use them. So don't feel like you need to memorize all these things. If you knew 10 functions, you'd probably be golden and you'd be able to live your life in peace and harmony, and you wouldn't be cursing me later on. Okay, page 146. So we're going to make cell B7 the active cell, the minimum yield. And that's step 1. Okay, page 146. And now they want you to click on the Formulas tab in the ribbon. Humor me with this because you're going to find other ways to do this. This is more of an exploration of things. So in the function library group, which is here, click on the More Functions button, and then they want you to click on Statistical. If you don't know what statistical really refers to, it doesn't really matter. You can find these totally other ways. So in the statistical, we're looking for the min. Okay? So here's our min. This takes us to this pane, which I think is pretty helpful, especially if you're learning how to use these functions, because it breaks things down a little bit, and I think it kind of helps. So we have 2 entry boxes, a number 1 and a number 2. Okay, so this is the min function, and you probably guessed that min means which one's the minimum. So of the 2 numbers, which one is less? So with the entry for the number 1 highlighted, step 5, click the E column. So we're just going to click on the E column, and it puts in E colon E into the number 1 box. If you scroll down on that page, on page 146, you can see in their function panel what that's going to look like. It's also giving you what the answer is going to be. So right here is the answer, 102. Returns the smallest numbers in a set of values, ignores logical values and text. People generally don't read this. They generally don't read what's up here. They generally don't read anything. Here's the formula result as well. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can see here. So let's move on to page 147. So let's just click on OK, and it enters that formula in there. And you can see it in the formula bar up here. Now click on cell B8. So in cell B8, we're going to repeat steps 3 through 6, select the max function. Okay. So you can go through all this mumbo jumbo here. Okay. And get to it that way. You could also just type equals max, and you could click on E colon E this way. So whatever works for you. Either is fine. I don't really care. Do whatever it is that works for you though. Okay, so once you get the cell B8, max E colon E, we're going to go to the median yield. And if you don't know what median is, if you think of it as just the middle value, that's probably the most helpful thing. So we'll come back here, we'll do it their way. Median. And if this pane is in the way, what you can do is you can click on this little arrow, shrinks the whole thing down, and then you can click on the E colon E, and you can come back here, click that little arrow again, and then it brings it all back. And if I choose OK, then I should be getting that value, 175. And they're giving you a different way to do it in the book. Just go with what you know, because I think the other ways that they're going to show you might be a little confusing. In fact, here, I will take you through that just in case you are a big rule follower here. You want to do it exactly like the book does it. So I'm in cell B9. Step 2 says insert a function. It's this guy right here. You can do it this way as well. And you can type middle value. You can click go. Whoops. Not gonna give it to me. It's like, oh my gosh. So we'll do it again. Go to statistical, middle value, go. It's really not helping me. I'm gonna go with what I know. So equals median, E colon E, right parenthesis, and there you have it. So you can figure out how to use it like the book says. I think that's terribly confusing, and I'm not sure I know anybody who does searches that way. So on page 149, they're giving you some information about rounding. Kind of keep that in mind. I have a story about a business owner who didn't realize that when she rounded each sale, and I probably told you this story, that the sales were being rounded up to the nearest penny, not down. And so at the end of the day, her till or cash register never matched up with her precise mathematics because she was adding all of the sales and calculating tax, whereas the tax was actually being calculated on every cup of coffee she sold. So kind of keep that in mind because that can create some serious issues. Rounding can be your friend or your enemy. Okay, so we're going to go back to the yield worksheet. And I'm on page 149. We're going to use some trial and error to figure out how many acres of corn um, will need to generate certain amounts of either farmland or money. So in cell B4, change the farm acreage from 137 to 150, and let's see what happens. So when I do that, I make a lot more money, $96,962 down here. If I change it to 175, it's even better. I'm going to put it back to the way it was. But this kind of shows you like why you would want to use Excel, because if you change one thing, it changes a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm on page 150. So Excel has this thing called goal seek, and this could be confusing or helpful to you. I think once you get good at using it, it's pretty handy. I tend to do most of this in my head, just because I'm really good at guesstimating. But if you needed to do this for other people or with data that you're not really sure of, if you go to step 1 at the bottom of page 150, click on the data tab. So there's the data tab in the ribbon. We want to go to the forecast group, which is way over here. We're going to do what if analysis and then goal seek. So this brings up this little pane over here. So we're going to alter something and begin to try to figure out what we need to do, what we need to change. So we want to set cell, and in the set cell box, we want to click cell B23. So we want to set cell B23 to the value here of $100,000. 100,000. Okay, you don't need any commas for that. And then we're going to be changing cell B4. So you can just click on that. And then once you have that, so check out that image beneath step 6 there. So you got B23, $B, $23, 100,000, $B, $4. And if we choose OK, you can now see how much land you're going to need to plant in order to make $100,000. Okay, so if you choose OK, looks like we're going to need total corn crop of 154.6984204 in order to make 100 grand. Cool. And flipped over to page 152. Okay. So I'm going to change this total corn crop to 137. Let's back to where it was. Okay. Of course, they wanted me to do something different. They wanted me to enter 137 space acres. And if I do that, you can kind of see that it generates some problems down lower in my formulas. And bad things are going to happen. So you can't put numbers in cells where you are trying to make mathematics happen. So if we change it back to 137, press enter, our errors go away. We're going to click on cell B21. Yeah, well, we've already fixed it. So, okay, so let's save. And I'm on page 153. So I'm going to stop there. So we've done the first section of this assignment. I'll create another video for you, which has the second part of this tutorial. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you're able to hear. Hopefully everything's okay. If not, please email me, message me, call me, text me, do something so I know what's going on with things. Cool. All right. More in a bit. This is part 1.